Victory or death! Your soul shall be mine!
Probably don't keep a Galakrond plus Invoke card. This is still first and foremost a Darkest Hour deck, I would say. Playing a Dragonblight Cultist into this 1/3 seems kinda sketchy. Kobold Lackey's broken. Faceless Lackey is, like, pretty good for Darkest Hour synergy. But it looks like, with this current board state, Darkest Hour is pretty far off. I'm really hoping that at some point he plays the neutral demon thing so I can sack pact it. I'm getting low on life, and I don't really want to sack pact one of my own things.
I will act as your skin.
I don't think I'm quite to the point of wanting to sack pact my board control here. Probably getting pretty close though. A lot of damage into my taunt minion. I think I can probably live long enough for a turn 9 Scheme Darkest Hour. But maybe next turn is like Scheme Dragonblight Cultist, and try to land a turn 8 Darkest Hour. Alright, don't have your other Awaken, please, or another risky skipper. Even if he does have the clear, though, at least I can just play an Evasive Draconid. I only have 2 taunts in the deck. But it's still gotta be a Darkest Hour, right? It's better than the 0 taunts I have in play currently. Oh, I had 3 taunts in the deck, actually. I missed Silly Axe. There's probably a world where I can die here. It involves some sort of Bloodsworn mercenary stuff. But I guess that deck doesn't really cheat mana. He would have needed like a buffed Scion.
The light shall bring victory.
Your soul shall be mine!
I definitely like keeping Mountain Giant. I could keep Fiendish Rites, but probably not. I'm assuming that these removal spells are probably not going to be that good against Priest. But it does depend on what kind of Priest he is. There's a Darkest Hour, which is a nice pickup, and there's a Reform Scheme. But since I didn't draw it until this turn, it is a bit small. Rush Lackey tends to be pretty good, but I don't know how good it really is against Priest. What is even my win condition against Priest? They have plenty of board clears for a big Darkest Hour. Unless I can sneak it in before turn 9. I think I probably want value in this matchup. Maybe I'm just already playing for fatigue. Like maybe this mountain giant doesn't even go face. Just to stall out his quest. I mean, he can heal me to start activating his quest. But if he's healing me, I mean, that's nice of him to do. Well, I definitely want to trade into that, because going face is basically only 3 damage, since that guy would heal it back up. I could Darkest Hour for 3 here, but that doesn't seem great.
So many possibilities.
I guess I'm just gonna play the 6 mana card and pass. I feel like that's a pretty weak Mass Hysteria against my deck.
Your feeble magic amuses me.
But since we're getting up to the point where he's close to being able to play Plague of Death. Once he has those online, he might just not have enough threats. I don't think I want to commit a Zeraku to this board.
On wings of evil.
I'm also not sure if I should be tapping at all.
I will act as your
Dispel.
steel dragon.
I don't think my goal is straight up fatigue, but probably some, like trying to find some balancing point of like applying enough pressure and him running out of board clears, and then eventually just pulling the trigger.
Free of that blasted tower.
I don't have a great grasp on this game right now though, if I'm being honest.
Behold.
So I'm at 10 cards. I think I can play this thing.
Your feeble magic
And I'll burn the sack pact here. Because if he clears this board, I want my reload to be Zeraku, and I want to be able to tap.
Behold.
I could go for Dragonblight Cultist plus Plague of Flames here.
Possibilities.
If I just take some trades,
So many possibilities.
there's no way that Dark Skies would be a clear.
Dispel. Dispel.
I did keep one of my big guys in play. Could definitely see the Plague of Flames having been correct here. But it's not like it's hard for me to use the Plague of Flames. I have a Reform Scheme for a full board clear. since I think I don't want to use this to pull stuff out of my deck. Okay. Breath of the Infinite, maybe? No? That seems like a really bizarre turn. Dark Skies looks like a pretty bad card in the matchup, so might be nice to try to use it here. Wow, that sucked. But Psychopomp is not a card I'm worried about leaving in play.
We are friends now. Hello, friend.
Palazi is pretty unplayable. I'm up to 3 invokes on my Galakrond, so at this point I can Dragonblight Cultist plus Galakrond any turn that I draw it. I mean, that's kind of annoying, but I sort of feel like fatigue might actually be a thing at this point, so I don't really know how bad for me that is. I could Darkest Hour here to try to force out a Plague of Death, which would silence these things. But depending on how hard I go on that, I might just be... like, he might be fine silencing these if I'm just that deep into fatigue.
So many possibilities. Bones of the fall. Endless suffering. Endless suffering.
Animations. Alright, so I've decided that whatever, he can have all these albatrosses, and then at some point maybe I just go like scheme Darkest Hour and pull a bunch of 1/1s out of my deck if I need to. Like if I feel like it's really affecting my draws.
This might hurt.
I haven't seen any dupes yet. But I also haven't seen anything that makes me feel like this would be Highlander. I don't want Darkest Hour to hit Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. What about a Dark Skies play here? Deals 10 damage, he's showing 13. This is not active, unfortunately.
Almost out of time.
I thought about saving Kronks for post Galakrond, but with all these birds being shuffled in, it's pretty hard to draw Galakrond, so let's just Kronks it. Can also just start getting use out of that Imp Hero power instead of the life tap. Although with the birds, I'm not sure that life tap is that bad at this point. But going back to what I said earlier, like I can hold this Reform Scheme for a few turns and then use Darkest Hour to pull a bunch of 1/1s out of my deck. That does run a bit of a risk of hitting Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, but even if it hits like 4 birds and a Mountain Giant, that's pretty good. Oh, he's low on minions in his deck over there. Well, I can Dark Skies to kill most of this stuff if I want. And I do think killing this Katrina is pretty important. Maybe it's just Dark Skies, like trade here, Dark Skies, and then Galakrond. And then that will probably force out a Plague of Death. And by the way, this did confirm to me that he's not Highlander. But yeah, the Galakrond could force out a Plague of Death here. I don't know if I really needed to use my weapon here. His thing didn't line up that well against my guys. But it was something he could heal pretty easily. Wow, I was definitely not likely to have 2 minions survive there, I don't think. Take the value, lackey. And Zeraku. I don't have life tap anymore, so Zeraku is a lot less reliable. Let's just take a Brightwing. Hopefully it can hit something roughly as good as Zeraku. Alexstrasza is insane. So I have 8, 10. Can put 13 power in play here. I guess at this point I'm just trying to get 15 power in play and then kill him with Alex. That was a really, really good minion to get off Brightwing. Maybe the best minion? Not sure how easy it'll be for me to have 15 damage in play though. Wow, that's a shitty Plague of Death. I'm actually not really sure what to make of that. My deck is still 13 albatrosses. Jeez. Alright. Ideally I want like 4 albatrosses and a mountain giant. This was not great. But even though, like, I'm not getting this battle cry, I am threatening lethal with my other Alexstrasza now. Wow. I don't really want to use my weapon because it's so good with this Alexstrasza setup. Could use Fiendish Rites to push through. Alright, this is fine, I guess. Over halfway done with this quest. How do you still have more of those? How is it possible? Alright. Managed to kill both of his guys without losing either of my big guys. Probably enough to force out his last board clear if he has it.
Unity, precision, perfection.
I have lethal here. I was thinking about playing Alexstrasza in this deck, and this game sure looked like a good argument for that. Not sure what I would cut though. Maybe swap the Alexstrazzas.
Gul'dan versus Rexxar.
Let the hunt begin. Your soul shall be mine.
I think I keep Dark Skies against Hunter, but maybe with a Darkest Hour hand, I should just toss everything for Rafam's scheme.
The fires of vengeance burn bright.
Faceless Lackey is pretty nice with Plague of Flames. And Darkest Hour. Well, I guess I'm gonna shoot this thing because it's murdering me.
Behold, the jewels of the sun.
I would rather coin out one of these next turn than coin to draw a card here. No snakes, please. It's always snakes.
Crystal clear. Crystal clear. Crystal clear.
Bones of the fall.
I need to clear his board here. And I think I prefer having a Dark Skies in my hand compared to a Cultist or Plague of Flames.
The fires of vengeance burn bright.
Can't afford to life tap at this point. There's a good chance that defensive Alexstrasza could actually be good this game.
Act as your skin.
Might have to play a half Galakrond next turn just for the armor. Well, that was a good draw. I think I'm actually doing pretty well now. This coin Alexstrasza is pretty dirty.
I bring life his will.
I could see myself going Imp plus Darkest Hour next turn, and then turn 10 could be Cultist plus Galakrond. if there is a turn 10.
By moon and spear!
Sack Pact. Let's go. Sack Pact. Shit. Oh wait, no, this turn is Cultist, not Imp. Yeah, that's way better.
Mourn your death.
Nice, I hit the Zilliax. Yeah, it looks like this is not a Galakrond game. Yes, that Alexstrasza was a really good addition to the deck, apparently. I ended up with a 45% win rate, so I guess Darkest Hour Warlock is still not the way to go. But 45% is not terrible. The only change I ended up making to this deck was swapping out Dragon Queen Alexstrasza for normal Alexstrasza. I just think it's a bit more reliable at killing the opponent and making me not get killed. Plus, it didn't seem like the Dragon Queen Alexstrasza was active as often as I had hoped. But maybe it would be correct to cut like an Evasive Worm and play double Alexstrasza, or something along those lines. Other than this change, though, I'm not really sure what I would do to improve the deck. I think I like all of the card selections I have right now. Maybe you can cut a Sinister Deal for a second Sack Pact or something. And like maybe you could try to fit Crazed Netherwings in this deck. It's still a respectable unit to hit with Darkest Hour, and it's, you know, pretty good in the games where you don't hit the Darkest Hour. But I don't know what you would cut for it. Maybe the other Sinister Deal, maybe Mountain Giant. I definitely found myself mulliganing Mountain Giant against some of the decks in this meta. So like, maybe this is a real play, but Mountain Giant's also pretty good in some matchups, so I don't know about it. But either way, I think this is probably not going to be the next meta breaker.